It was early morning on May 17, 2005, in the small town of Alexandria, Kentucky. A 911 call broke the silence. A woman screamed into the phone, saying someone had broken into her home and shot her husband. When police arrived, they found chaos. Drawers pulled open, glass shattered, and a house that looked like it had been ransacked. In the bedroom, a man's body lay on the floor. It looked like a robbery gone wrong. But something didn't feel right. The details didn't match up. The story kept changing. And then police found something hidden in the washing machine, something that would turn the entire case upside down. What really happened inside the Bosley home that morning? And why would anyone want Robert Bob Bosley dead? The answer was darker and closer than anyone could have imagined. Robert Bob Bosley was born on August 2, 1962, in Alexandria, Kentucky. He grew up in a close-knit religious family and was known for being hardworking and ambitious from a young age. By the time he reached adulthood, Bob had already built his own small business, a one-man chimney sweep and roofing service. He started with nothing but hard work and determination, and over time, his dedication paid off. He turned that modest business into a thriving company, Bosley Roofing and Chimney Sweep, known throughout Campbell County for reliability and quality. Money soon followed. Bob reinvested his earnings into rental properties, eventually owning more than 20 of them. By his early 40s, he was one of the most successful businessmen in the area. And with success came luxury. Bob bought sports cars, horses, and even his own airplane. He owned a large boat on Lake Cumberland, where he became known for hosting extravagant parties filled with alcohol, loud music, and beautiful guests. It was at one of his favorite restaurants that Bob met 18-year-old Amy Pape. Amy came from humble beginnings. Born in 1969, she was raised in a working-class family and had watched her father struggle with alcohol. Despite that, Amy was smart and determined. She graduated near the top of her high school class and began studying business administration in college, working as a waitress to pay her way through. That's where Bob entered her life. He was older, charming, wealthy, and confident, everything she wasn't used to. At first, Amy was hesitant, but soon she found herself drawn into his world of luxury. After 4 years together, they married. For Amy, it was a transformation, from a small-town girl to the wife of one of Kentucky's most successful men. Together, they had 2 children, Morgan and Trevor, and settled into a comfortable life in the countryside. Amy became a devoted mother, while Bob continued to grow his company and his wealth. But beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to show. Bob had grown frustrated with managing the business side of things. So he asked Amy, with her background in business administration, to take over the company's finances and payroll. It seemed like a natural fit, but it would prove to be a fatal mistake. While Bob focused on expanding his empire, Amy took full control of the money. Unknown to him, she began diverting company funds into her own secret account. She stopped paying taxes and rerouted payments to herself. The IRS began to notice the missing money. They sent letters, made phone calls, and requested meetings. But Bob never received any of it. Amy had arranged for all the correspondence to go to a private mailbox only she could access. The fraud went on for years, until it reached nearly $2 million in unpaid taxes, and the IRS was finally closing in. They scheduled a meeting with Bob for May 17, 2005. Amy knew that once Bob found out, her double life would be exposed. The lies, the money, and the years of deceit. And that's when everything spiraled out of control. Just before dawn, around 5 a.m., a frantic call came into 911. It was Amy. She screamed that someone had broken into their home and shot her husband. Then, suddenly, the line went dead. When police arrived, they found Amy outside, shaking and holding her children. Her sister soon took the kids away as Amy was questioned. Inside, officers found Bob dead beside the bed, shot multiple times. The house looked like a burglary scene. Drawers open, items scattered, a back window smashed. But something felt off. The glass from the broken door was mostly outside, not inside, suggesting it had been broken from within. Cabinets were left open in strange places, like under the sink. It looked staged. Amy told police that an intruder, A white man with a nasal voice and bad breath had broken in and attacked them. She showed scratches on her chest as proof of a struggle. But her story kept changing, and detectives weren't buying it. As police dug deeper, inconsistencies began piling up. Amy claimed the intruder fired shots after breaking the glass. But when detectives spoke to her children, their stories didn't match. They remembered hearing gunshots first, then the sound of glass breaking. In the basement, investigators discovered something odd. Inside the washing machine, wrapped in a wet cloth, were 4 spent shell casings. Only 2 were found in the bedroom. That made 6 in total, the exact number of bullets fired into Bob. It didn't make sense. Why would an intruder hide evidence inside the victim's washer? And then, the motive surfaced. IRS agents arrived at the police station with news. Bob owed over $1.7 million in back taxes. A meeting had been scheduled for that very morning. They also mentioned that weeks earlier, someone had called pretending to be Bob, but the voice sounded high-pitched, almost like a woman disguising herself. That Bob had been Amy. The financial trail exposed everything. Amy had stolen nearly $2 million, hiding her crimes from Bob for years. And the morning the IRS was going to expose her, she acted. Forensic analysis revealed even more. The scratches on Amy's chest were symmetrical, too perfect to be real injuries. Her blouse had been cut with scissors and torn afterward to look ripped. The baseball bat found at the scene had glass fragments that matched the broken door, the same bat her children recognized from their home. Finally, a gun was discovered, hidden in Amy's purse, one of Bob's own firearms. Ballistics confirmed it matched the casings from the crime scene. The story of a break-in was collapsing. There was no unknown intruder. There was only Amy. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Amy was arrested and charged with murder less than 2 weeks after Bob's death. The prosecution's theory was chilling. On the night of May 17th, Amy waited until her children were asleep. Then she took one of Bob's guns and shot him while he slept. When he tried to get up, she fired again and again. Afterward, she staged the scene, smashing glass, scattering items, and hiding shell casings in the washer. Finally, she made the 911 call, her voice frantic and rehearsed. Prosecutors offered a plea deal to avoid putting her children through a trial. Amy accepted, admitting guilt without revealing what happened to the stolen money. On November 2, 2006, Amy Bosley was sentenced to 20 years in prison for murdering her husband. Under Kentucky law, she became eligible for parole after serving 85% of her sentence, 17 years. On May 17, 2022, exactly 17 years to the day after the murder, Amy Bosley was released from prison. Her current whereabouts are unknown. Bob Bosley was buried in Campbell County, Kentucky, remembered as a generous man who built his success from nothing, only to be betrayed by the person he trusted most. Amy's crime remains one of the most haunting in Kentucky history, not because of brutality, but because of the cold calculation behind it. She wasn't cornered, she wasn't destitute, and she wasn't abused. Her husband might have forgiven her. The IRS might have worked out a deal. But instead of coming clean, she chose to kill. She chose control over confession, greed over love. And in the end, both death and taxes caught up with her. As Benjamin Franklin once said, "Nothing is certain except death and taxes." For Amy Bosley, both arrived on the same day,